morning, everyone, and welcome to City Hall and to Council Chambers. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today, our invocation will be given by Professor Imam Arez Mazloum with Christus Spawn Hospital in Tamu-Cc.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In the name of our Creator God, our Holy God, the most compassionate, most merciful, our Lord, we stand before you today in humility and gratitude. We ask you to bless this gathering and to guide the hearts and minds of our beloved Mayor and City Councilmen and women. We ask you to grant them wisdom, justice, and compassion in their decisions. Let this council be a source of unity and service for all residents, regardless of their background, race, or belief. May truth prevail over personal interests, and may the welfare of the community be placed above it all. Our Lord, protect our city from harm, enrich it with peace and prosperity. Indeed, you are the peace. From you comes peace, and to you belongs peace. Our Lord, help us all to be stewards of goodness and mercy. Indeed, you are the most merciful, most compassionate. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the Texas state flag will be led today by Dean Presley Isbell. He is a 12th grader at the Arlington Heights Christian School, an ACSI Distinguished Scholar, National Honor Society member, and AHCS Lion Leadership Award awardee.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in honoring the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Ms. Huerta, would you please call roll?
Mayor Paulette Guajardo.
Present.
Council members Roland Barrera.
Here.
Sylvia Campos. Eric Antu is running late. Gil Hernandez.
Here.
Kaylin Paxson.
Here.
Everett Roy. Mark Scott.
Here.
Carolyn Vaughn. Here. City Manager Peter Zanoni.
Present.
Deputy City Attorney Buck Bryce.
Present.
Mayor and Council, a quorum of the Council and the required charter officers are present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. Before we begin today's meeting, I want to take a moment to address an important issue. This council chambers is a place of public business, a forum for civic discussion, decision-making, and service to the people of Corpus Christi. It is not a stage for personal attacks, disruptions, or vulgarity, and we won't tolerate violations of decorum. There have been repeated instances of individuals using profanity, shouting over others, and showing blatant disregard for the rules that govern our proceedings. I've allowed space for differing viewpoints, and I'll continue to welcome respectful disagreement, but we will not allow this council or the public we serve to be disrespected. We're here to do the people's work, so we'd like to proceed in that spirit. If you want to speak on a specific agenda item during its discussion, you do not need to sign up beforehand. I will ask for public comment when the council considers the item. At that time, you may come up to the podium and speak. I'll ask City Attorney Buck Bryce to review the council meeting rules of decorum, and these rules will also be displayed on the television screens above for your viewing.
All citizens must be courteous, polite, and respectful of one another, including the city council and city staff. The mayor and council members shall be referred to by title and/or title surname. All remarks must be addressed to the mayor and city council and not to the council members as individuals. Citizens are only permitted to speak on city-related subject matter. Speaking on any non-city related matter is prohibited. Loud, boisterous, profane, or obscene language or behavior is not allowed. Citizens must refrain from any disturbing noises, demonstration, or other act disrupting the city council business.
Thank you. Please state your name and the city in which you live before beginning your comments. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes, while non-resident comments are limited to 1 minute. A visible timer positioned near the city secretary's desk will help manage that allotted time. If you have a petition or any relevant information, please present it to the city secretary before speaking, and she will distribute it to us. So with that, we're going to go on to section F, and that is our board and committee appointments. Ms. Huerta?
Mayor, we need to ask for a public comment, please, before we start the
Yes.
appointments.
Is there anybody that would like to speak on these board and committee appointments before we begin? Okay.
All right.
Close that.
Close that, all right. So the first boards for your consideration, they're the Corpus Christi B Corporation, otherwise known as the Type B Board, and the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Corporation, that's the Type A Board. There are 3 vacancies, and historically, the same people serve on both Type A and B boards. Mark LaRue is seeking reappointment, and his attendance rate is in your packets.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Rebecca, do you want this on the screens, or can we voice?
Just a voice vote, please, if you don't mind, Mayor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
Okay, who voted no, please raise your hands. Okay, 2? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it's still,
Yeah, the motion carries.
the motion carries. Okay, so then that leaves us with 2 vacancies to fill.
Mayor, I'd like to appoint or nominate Claudia Mostagashi and Duke Conchola.
Okay, so we have Claudia Mastagasi and Duke Conchola. Any other nominations? Alex Garcia. And oh yeah, Bilal, right? Bilal Khan. Okay, Bilal Khan. Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close nominations. So we have Claudia Mastagasi, Duke Conchola, Alex Garcia, and Bilal Khan. And we have 1 to fill.
2, ma'am.
I'm sorry, 2 to fill. Okay, I will go ahead and start with Councilman Scott. Please choose your 2.
I got Claudia Mostagashi and Bilal Khan.
Mastagashi and I can't say that.
Duke Conchola.
I have Claudia Mastagashi and Mr. Khan.
Duke Conchola and Bilal Khan. Bilal Khan.
Mostagashi and Conchola.
Mastagasi and Garcia.
Okay, Mastagashi and Conchola are appointed to the Type A and the Type B board.
Okay.
All right, so next we have the Ethics Commission. There are 3 vacancies, and members are appointed by 2/3 vote of the full council, and that's 6 votes. Trevor Mock is seeking reappointment, and his attendance rate is in your packets.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The motion carries.
Okay, so that leaves us with 2 vacancies to fill.
Okay, I'll open nominations. We have 2 vacancies. Would anybody like to nominate?
Mayor, I'll nominate Nicole Guerrero and Elena Martinez.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, we'll close nominations, and we'll start with Councilwoman Vaughn. Or are you, okay.
There's 2 slots and 2 nominees, Mayor, so.
Actually,
Oh, did you want to nominate? Okay.
Yeah, Master Chief Campbell.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so all three. So I'll start here to the left. Councilman Scott?
Martinez, Guerrero.
Martinez, Willingham.
Martinez and Guerrero.
Martinez and Willingham.
Guerrero and Martinez.
Martinez y Guerrero.
Martinez is Willingham.
Martinez and Willingham.
Okay, so Martinez is appointed, Guerrero and Willingham, we have to do a runoff.
We'll start with Councilman Vaughn. Martinez, who is it, Rebecca?
It's Guerrero and Willingham.
Guerrero and Willingham. Willingham.
Master Chief Willingham.
Guerrero.
Guerrero.
Willingham.
Willingham.
Okay, so we have a tie on that one. We're going to have to bring that back.
Okay.
Maybe when Mr. Cantu gets here, if y'all wish to reopen it, we can do that then.
Can we get the dice out?
Sir?
Can we get the?
The dice, yeah. So next we have the Marina Advisory Committee, and there's one vacancy on that one. Okay, there's one nomination for Gottberg. Any other nominations? Okay, you want to close nominations, Mayor?
Close nominations.
Okay, is there a motion to appoint?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The motion carries.
Okay, so then that leaves us with the Water Shore and Beach Advisory Committee. There are two vacancies representing the following preferred but not required categories, one at large and one Corpus Christi Convention and Visitor Bureau representative.
Nominate Allen and Darden.
You nominated who, ma'am? Darden and? Okay.
Any other nominations?
There's two spots, sir. Now?
Who was that?
Rao?
Rao?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll close nominations, and I will start with Councilman Vaughn. Two.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, two. You're only Rao? All right.
Didn't we nominate Alan? Didn't you nominate Alan? She's not on the list.
Yeah, so there's two, Gil, Mr. Hernandez.
Robert Allen?
Yes. Mhm.
Alan Darden.
Ma'am. Okay, so Ms. Vaughn would like to nominate Allen, so she's going to go ahead and take her two votes. So Rao and Allen.
Brown and Allen.
Darden and Allen.
Darden and Rao.
Oh, can I change my mind?
Yeah.
Okay. Rao and. No, I'll probably, that's okay.
You're going to leave it Rao and Allen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Rao and Allen.
Allen and Darden.
Allen and Darden.
Okay, so it's Allen and Rao. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. Okay, we're going to move on to Section H, our budget-related items 2 through 22. Our first item, number 2, is a public hearing and first reading ordinance adopting the Corpus Christi operating budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Amy Cowley, Director of Management and Budget. This first item is an item to approve the first reading of our FY26 operating budget. The slides that I have today, I'll go through them pretty quickly. The majority of them we saw on Thursday as well. So our FY26 proposed operating budget does address the City Council and community priorities of public safety, streets, animal care services, and libraries. And our FY26 proposed budget is $1.6 billion operating. That's $944 million in operating and $692.6 million in capital. Our authorized positions are shown on this slide. Again, this is a slide that we reviewed on Thursday of last week as well. The proposed budget does include no tax rate adjustment, so the proposed budget assumes the tax rate remains flat for FY26. There is a proposed water rate adjustment, a proposed wastewater adjustment, a proposed stormwater adjustment, no proposed rate adjustment for gas, no proposed adjustment for solid waste, and no proposed adjustment for the street user fee. These are the amendments for the general fund. We did add, after our workshop last Thursday, we added funding to restore the constituent relations coordinator position for the full year. So the total proposed general fund revenues are $341,703,752. And the total proposed expenses in the general fund are $346,756,839. The amendment for wastewater included the effluent reuse program revenue. The street maintenance fund included funding for developer participation agreements. Again, we brought forward the street user fee for discussion, but we did not include that in the proposed budget. The residential street reconstruction fund has a slight increase to revenues based on the more accurate certified property tax detail. In the TERS revenues, there are decreases to the 3 TERS fund revenues for that same reason. We are adding a financial statement for the Corpus Christi Housing and Finance Fund with this proposed budget. We have an adjustment for the Equipment and Vehicle Replacement Fund, a capital outlay adjustment for the Engineering Fund, an adjustment to the property tax revenues in our Debt Service Fund, a corrected workers' compensation financial statement. This did not change the proposed FY26 revenues or expenditures. It was a correction to the FY24 actuals, the audited numbers. And then our total amended authorized position count would be 4,166 positions, and that does include 92 grant positions. Last Thursday, we did have our final City Council budget workshop. Today is the first reading and public hearing on the budget. And next week, on September 9th, will be our public hearing and second reading on the budget. Stand by for any questions.
Councilman Hernandez.
Yeah, just real quick on the, I know at the end of the meeting last week for the budget workshop, I'd mentioned this funding for the city secretary's office, and there was, I guess, what is the number that you have there?
$38,449 is what we restored into the budget, and that reflects 7 months of that position. So it was a partial year. And the 7 months is what was excluded initially, so that does restore the full 12 months.
Okay, that includes insurance coverage, everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's a good thing I had. Also in the budget, when you transfer the capital out, the amounts to the street for the 2+2 plus the 1% of the general fund, there was some confusion as to what that was calculated. If you could separate that then in the budget, once we approve it, to where you have the 2+2 and then the 1% separate in separate line items. Okay, because that created some confusion with that funding. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment on item number 2?
I'm going to wait till you get your documents. Thank you. You have the timer? All right, my name is Julie Rogers. I live in District 1, and my library is La Retama Library, the main library in Corpus Christi. I am handing you a petition where we've grown each week by over 100 people who support our libraries. And what they're saying is, do not defund our libraries. For 10 years, I've been advocating that we stop chronically underfunding our library, but this year we seem to take a different route and decided we would just defund them. And I appreciate you putting funds back in the budget for it. It is only the first reading, so I'm going to keep holding your foot to the fire. And I would ask that you actually give more to the libraries. I just came from the library board meeting. You also got a document called Success by Six, or Reading Before Six. There's 2 great programs that go on. This one, though, it's a challenge to read before you get 6, 1,000 books by 6. And it's very, very important. And you're going to notice on that front page, it says revamping. You know why? Because we don't have enough funding to buy the hardback books. We're going to produce in-house, which is good. It's good that we figure out ways to use our city services and try to save money. But I'll tell you what, for 10 years, the library system has had to figure things like this out, and it's just unfair. And you might wonder, why doesn't our literacy increase? You know why? Because we don't increase the funding to our libraries. Thank you for holding it steady, but that just isn't going to do anymore. You've got to do better than this. I don't want to neglect that I appreciate you and the other folks, 615 who signed this, that you're not going to make these cuts, but you need to start funding the libraries, and that will increase our literacy rate. When you do that, you're going to increase the quality of life in Corpus Christi. You certainly are. And you know what else you're going to increase? People's ability to think critically, so that there's not all this misinformation that's out there that we keep hearing. People need to be able to think. It starts with reading before you're 6. So please, fund the libraries properly, stop defunding them. And one more thing, we own the Hart Library. Keep it. Make money off of it. FBISD is responsible for their own library, not us.
Thank you, Ms. Travis. Anyone else on item number 2? Okay, I'm going to close public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 2. Oh, Councilman Hernandez.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy. What is our funding last year versus our funding this year for the libraries?
Should be fairly flat with the, including the restoration of the position and the books. The current adopted budget is $6.2 million in FY25. And so it is increasing slightly for personnel cost and such. But other than that, the operations of the library are flat.
Yeah, it's going to go up to 6.2 right now in the current year, and it's going to go up to 6.5. So there'll be an increase in the library budget.
By 300?
By 300 plus thousand, right. Not to mention the big bond program at La Retama, $2 million for facility improvements on that library. That's underway right now.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Vaughn.
Compared to last year's budget, have we increased how much?
In total, we were at $1.8 billion for FY25, and we're at $1.6 billion for FY26.
So we decreased overall, correct?
Correct.
Just making sure, I didn't want to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rebecca, were you putting this on? Okay. Okay, the motion carries. Item number 3 is a public hearing and first reading ordinance adopting the Corpus Christi fiscal year 2025-2026 capital budget.
The item you have before you would be to approve the first reading of our capital budget. As you know, we do develop a long-term 10-year capital plan. Today, what you're approving is the appropriation for year 1 of that plan. That is that first box on this slide. We also have a short-range plan. Those are years 1 through 3. What makes it into the short-range plans are projects that have funding associated with them, and it's more anticipated that we will move in that direction in years 2 and 3. And then the long-range plan is for years 4 through 10. Those projects, we know that we need them. We want them on the radar, but we don't necessarily have funding identified yet to execute those projects, or we know that they will be needed in future years. So our total CIP funding by department is shown on this slide. The total before you today is $764 million. That makes up various funding sources, the majority of which is revenue bonds. We also have general obligation bonds. We have grants, type A and B economic development funding. This chart is a great picture to show how our departments have been executing these projects over the years, specifically our bond projects. These are the projects that go to the voters and that the voters vote, yes, let's do these projects. We've been executing those exponentially. Our FY25 CIP scorecard, this would show you that we are actually executing these projects in a timely manner. The goal for FY25 was to be at 80%. We are at 84 to 85%, depending on if you look at project count or project funding, but it's pretty aligned and better than what the goal was for FY25. And then our FY26 summary shows that we don't have a large number of new projects. We are continuing to execute the projects in our plan. And I'll stand by for any questions.
Okay, I don't see any questions or comments. I'm going to go ahead and open public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment on item number 3? Okay, there being no one, we'll close public hearing, and I will entertain a motion to approve item number 3.
I'll move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please submit your vote. Okay, the item carries. Item number 4 is a public hearing and first reading ordinance setting a property tax rate of 0.599774 per $100 valuation, which is effectively a 0.23% increase over the no new revenue tax rate, and approving the tax roll as calculated.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Sergio Villasana, Director of Finance and Procurement here. Jumping right into the presentation, staff is recommending to adopt a proposed tax rate of 0.599774 per $100 valuation. This tax rate is a 0.001351 or 23.23% more than the no new revenue rate, and is well below the voter approval rate. This next slide shows what the tax rate funding will be used for. About $95.7 million goes to the general fund, maintenance and operation. We then have $11.3 million that's used to fund residential streets. $6.6 million goes to the tax increment financing zones, and about $62 million goes to funding debt service. That concludes my presentation. I'll stand by for any question, and staff recommends approval. And again, this is a public hearing.
Councilwoman Campos.
Okay, on the residential streets, how do we, I think you, Councilman Hernandez has mentioned something like this about the streets so that we can allocate, so we can make sure that we have a certain allocation of tax dollars going just to residential streets. Is this where it would be done? Because right here you have it, the equivalent of 0.4 or 11.3 million. How would we be able to change from we would have to then reduce something from the general fund in order to increase that for residential?
Correct. The 4 cents are adopted by council to fund residential streets. You can always increase that funding, the transfer out to residential streets, but it is a budget decision. And so if you have a balanced budget, you would need to adjust expenditures accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I guess that was one of the things that I wasn't sure of, if we would be able to do it at some point, but it has to be done prior. Like, that's why it's important to have these discussions way before I know that, this is kind of already late, but I remember just having our own input sessions, and we just had it Thursday, and there's just no time to move any of this money. So again, it's not on you, but it's on us to be able to educate the public about input. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open public hearing on item number 4. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment on item number 4? Okay, there being no one, we'll close public hearing.
Mayor, I'd move that the property tax rate.
Mayor, yeah.
I have to read this first. Okay. So during today's council meeting, the City Council will vote on the first reading of the proposed property tax rate of 0.599774 per $100 valuation for fiscal year 2026, and at the September 9th, 2025 City Council meeting beginning at 11:30 a.m. at City Hall. The City Council will vote on the second reading of the proposed property tax rate of 0.599774 per $100 valuation.
Mayor, I move that the property tax rate be.
Yeah, good.
Mayor, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.599774 per $100 valuation, which is effectively a 0.23% increase in the tax rate.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are you going to put this up, Rebecca? Yep. All right. Okay, please submit your votes. Okay, the motion carries. Item number 5 is an ordinance ratifying the property tax increase reflected in the fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget that will require raising more revenue from property taxes than in the fiscal year 24-25 operating budget in the amount of $6,061,319.
This item is to recognize the fact that although our tax rate is staying flat, we are collecting or budgeting to collect additional property tax revenues, and that's primarily driven by higher certified values and some new growth. About $2.7 million is from new property added to the rolls. Are there any other questions on this item?
Nope, I don't think so. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and open public comment. Would anyone like to comment on item number 5?
Hello. I was hoping to make it for the budget items before, so I'm glad I was able to make it to this one because property tax.
State your name and city, sorry.
Mark Minster, Corpus Christi. Because the property tax plays into the budget a huge role because of the revenue to the operating budget, as it just said, it was 90+ million. And for property taxes, that directly correlates with the industrial district agreements, the IDAs. And when you're talking about who's our tax is going to be raised for, you're raising it for residents through their property taxes who don't have the deals and the abatements and reductions available that huge corporations have. And they're supposed to be the main people in our economy and the people who drive our economic growth, but they are not paying their fair share because they can get significant devaluations through their favorable industrial district agreements that residents do not have available to them. And these corporations have also, this is the property taxes at the county, city level. At the federal level, they have access to so many more tax breaks and incentives than just an average residential household homeowner would be, whose main asset is their home, the place that they live, not a facility that is used for their operations. So I just wanted to bring that up because that's very relevant to property taxes.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Rachel Caballero, District 1. I am here to oppose the tax increase on behalf of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association. Considering the 17
rate increases that are being proposed today, and also the possibility of a certain project either being passed or not, our community cannot continuously afford this money grab from a governing body that for some reason in the last 6 years has been unable to balance a budget, not amend it, and make sure that it is accurate. So I would ask that you guys consider not approving this tax increase.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close public comment. Did you have something? No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Oops. I will close public comment, and I will entertain a motion to approve item number 5.
I move for approval. Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, ratifying the property tax rate. Please submit your vote. The motion carries. Item number 6 is an ordinance amending Corpus Christi Code Section 6-15 to update the daily boarding fees, commercial permit fees, first and second occurrence impoundment fees, species appropriate vaccine fees, adding a third occurrence impoundment fee, and amending Section 6-26 to add a legal presumption regarding rabies immunization.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Kathleen Chapa, Director of Animal Care Services. The FY26 fee adjustment schedule. Animal Care Services benchmarked other cities in Texas and performed low-cost service analysis. The proposed changes and additions are intended to assist in achieving the cost recovery levels outlined in the Citygate assessment report. ACS has not increased fees for daily boarding commercial permits and first occurrence since March 27th of 2018. Nor the fees for second impound or species appropriate vaccines. Those were updated last in January 20th of 2015. Additionally, ACS is adding a third occurrence impound fee and amending to Section 626 to add a legal presumption regarding rabies immunizations. The proposed fee adjustments include going from daily boarding from $10 to $15, first impoundment from $30 to $50, second impoundment to $50 to $75, and then adding the third for $150. The species appropriate vaccinations will each go from $10 to $15. The projected revenue will increase $24,510 to the general revenue fund, and staff recommends approval of the Animal Care Services fee adjustments. I'll hold for questions.
Councilman Cantu.
Thank you. So if my dog gets impounded today and I get my dog out tomorrow, what am I paying? Total fees?
You will be paying to do the first impoundment fee, which is the $50.
Okay.
You'll also be paying if the dog is not microchipped or vaccinated. We add those, and you will pay that. So the $15 and then the $15 each vaccination. You'll also pay for, we put a topical on each animal for flea and ticks. You'll be paying that as well.
So more or less average?
So that's 50, 60, 75, about $80.
For the first 24 hours?
Mm-hmm.
And then if this passes, the daily fee will be $15?
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys have a hard time people trying to pick up their dogs and they don't have the money for it?
We do have that come up, and we do work with them.
As in what way?
As in, we'll reduce fees. We'll ask why. If it's a first occurrence, we totally understand, things happen. If it's a third occurrence, we need to get you in compliance to have your animal stay on your property.
Okay. as average, how many people say they don't have the money to pick up their dogs?
I'd have to get that answer for you.
It's a lot, you think, maybe?
Not as many as you would think.
No? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Roy.
So, I recently, as you know, adopted another dog.
Thank you.
And, the process, I went not only to your facility, but I also went to the Gulf Coast Humane Society. And I think the Gulf Coast Humane Society charges $125, I think. Don't hold me to that.
It is a lot more than what we charge.
But it is a lot more. And you charge $25. So I basically paid $25 when I adopted this dog. And you actually, I'm trying to think, you did all the things that you said that you were going to do before it was picked up. Of course, you had to run some tests to see if it was heartworm, negative or positive. And so my question is, that $25, when's the last time you raised that or adjusted that fee? Is there a concern? I mean, that's pretty low.
It is, however, we did look at that fee as well when we looked at the other municipalities and the other cities. And because adoption rates are so low in municipalities, everyone is about $25, $30.
Okay.
So if we go any higher, it's
Then you're
going to
not going
defeat
to
the
get
purpose.
people that adopt.
Correct. And we want to have good homes for these animals. So if $25 is what we need to have it at, then that's what we were staying at.
Yeah, I was really surprised that the disparity between the two, because like I said, they charge $125 for their adoption, and you're charging $25. So, all right, that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the questions, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and open public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment on item number 6? Okay, there being no one, we'll close public comment, and I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please submit your vote. Well, can she still vote?
Oh, let me vote.
Can you? Oh.
Can I still vote?
Yeah.
Yes. I.
Okay, so the motion carries. Item number 7 is an ordinance amending Corpus Christi Code Section 9-35 parking rates to update the parking rates for short-term and covered parking at Corpus Christi International Airport.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Kimberly Miller, Assistant Director for the airport. The item we have before you today is part of our, I'm going to skip to the next slide. We have a 5-year plan for rate structure. We are in year 4 of 5, so we are proposing to raise short-term and the covered parking from $13 an hour to $15 an hour. This schedule was developed in the budget process of 2023, and we had not had a rate increase since 2019. So we developed this particular 5-year structure as part of bringing our airport in alignment with other airports, as well as generating revenue to support the general operation. We also wanted to implement 3 years of free parking. Prior to that, we had 30-minute, 1-hour increments of parking. So we felt like it was a good initiative to do a 3-hour free parking so that we could encourage people to come into the parking lot and park, come visit their family, drop off their family. So we will continue that 3-year free parking. We also we will be keeping our free parking for disabled veterans as well. We are asking for approval on this rate increase for this coming fiscal year. In your packet, you also have some information on comparable airports. So we looked at airports to the south of us and to the north of us. Our rates do align very well with the 2 airports on the bottom part of the slide, which are McAllen and the Valley. Just to note here on the far right, emplanements, they do have about double the emplanements we have. So they have doubled the passengers. So our rates of $10 and $15 are very, very much in alignment with these other 2 airports. Any questions?
No, ma'am, no questions. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and open public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment on item number 7? Okay, there being no one, we'll close public comment, and I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
I move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please submit your vote. The motion carries. Item number 8 is an ordinance amending Corpus Christi Code Section 12-108 to update fees for Sunrise Beach RV Park.
Nick Winkleman, Director of Water Systems. If we could put the presentation. So this is a fee increase for Sunrise Beach RV Park. It is adjacent to the Wesley Seal Dam. CCW assumed operations of Sunrise Beach in 2009. As you can see, it's adjacent to the dam. The park has 150 campsites, and we last updated the daily fees in 2020. So breakdown of some of the amenities. Sunrise Beach, of course, has a lake view. There's utilities to each campsite. Those are included in the price. We've got restrooms and showers, on-site security, boat storage, fish cleaning stations, basketball court, laundry facility, and other outdoor tables and amenities. The proposed fee increase, it's a 5-year plan. This is meant to recover all of the operating costs for Sunrise Beach. You can see there's a large increase in fiscal year 26, and then a modest increase as we move forward. Towards the end of the 5-year plan, there are a couple of capital projects planned. That's an update to the restroom and other facilities at the park. And then there's the proposed boat ramp, which we talked about during the CIP review. So again, these fees would cover the cost of those capital improvements. The staff recommendation is to support the 5-year rate fee adjustment so that Sunrise Beach can be self-sustaining. And then also we can continue. The other advantage is that CCW can continue to monitor and maintain the property closest to the dam for security reasons. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
Councilwoman Paxson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. That was a fun agenda item to read through. I knew CCW was very accomplished, but now you have a whole park under your purview, so that's interesting. Were we able to look at the boat ramp that was installed recently at the lake that you referenced? This is the same project?
Yeah, you had a question about that during our capital budget review workshop last week. So this boat ramp is not it's not a floating boat ramp as you described, but it is pushed back into the capital plan, so there's time to evaluate it and see what that existing boat ramp is. So we pushed it back, and what year is that? What fiscal year is the boat ramp?
27.
Fiscal year 27.
Okay, so the action is we just pushed it back so we could do more discovery on it.
Well, we pushed it back. We needed to make sure that these fees were approved so that we could fund the boat ramp properly, right? We don't want to fund those capital improvements with revenue bonds. They need to be funded by the fees of the park. Is it,
I'm seeing in the packet where you have the table expenses and revenue breakdown, boat ramp CIP 21-116. Is that the same project?
Yeah, 21-116 is the boat ramp, and then the other capital project is the restroom and other facility improvements.
It looks like it's starting in 28, selling bonds in 29. I don't see anything under 27 unless I'm missing it.
I'm sorry. So the capital project starts in 28, but of course you don't sell bonds until the following year.
Okay.
Right. So remember, on those revenue bonds, there's the following add-on year.
Sure. I think I would just hate to expense what looks like ultimately $70,000 or so. I don't know what the total is that we're looking at. This is just a snapshot of this entire project. But if there's already a piece that's out there, whether it's a floating dock or not, you know.
Well, that's not, I'll let you talk.
So the boat ramp that you were in question from the Texas Parks and just adjacent to us is a different type of boat ramp. They just extended, it's a one lane, they put down kind of a garage door so that you can drive over. The problem with Sunrise Beach in the area that we have, it's a steeper drop off. And talking to the parks, Texas Parks and Wildlife, you will need to do a feasibility study, and it is made to order, so the costs aren't all the same.
So my curiosity is, if we have guests or patrons using this Sunrise Beach Park, I don't think it would be too burdensome for them to go around to the boat ramp that's been recently installed. Also, I think that the local businesses in that area were very encouraged by this new installation. And I think that if we defer and continue to allow folks to utilize that ramp, we would benefit that economy as well, save us money, that kind of thing. So that's my interest.
So the boaters can do that. They can rent a place to park their boat, park their vehicle, and then when they need to access, if our boat ramp isn't accessible, they can always drive to another boat ramp.
I think it's, in a nutshell, it's a great project, but I think there's a piece there, and I think that we, right now, are in a position to look at our budget in a needs not want. That's the bottom line for me. But thank you.
Councilman Roy.
I've got couple questions. One of the questions is the current occupancy. How many, if I remember, you have some campers or residents or whatever that are there for a long-term basis, right?
Monthly, yeah.
Monthly. They go monthly.
And they can renew. So you'll have people kind of drive out and come back in so they can renew their month.
So what percentage of your current occupancy are those month to month?
I don't have that. It's the majority of this day, but I don't have that. I don't want to give you a bad number. I don't have that in front of me.
And if I'm correct, most of the people there actually, they work in the area, and so they bring their camper there. I mean, some of them are military, some of them are ones that work in the oil field services businesses and whatnot. But they're there because of employment, right?
That is true. With the oil and gas production, we saw a tick up on stays such as that. It's when the lake has more water, you have more attendance there. But oil and gas people come in and out all the time.
So I'm assuming right now, because right now you can't launch at the lake, I'm assuming that that's probably the majority of your business. I can't imagine, unless people are just camping, hanging out, they don't want to go into the water. I mean, because there just isn't any, I mean, right?
True. People still enjoy the view, and the park is one of the best kept parks in the area. So they still like to barbecue, they still like to camp out, they still like to see and fish, so that we have that kind of traffic.
But the other thing that concerns me, if I look at in terms of the history of that particular area, we've had several drownings there, right?
They have, and those were launched out of the Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Okay, so they weren't launched in your area. I knew that there was a father and son accident that happened. I thought they were staying at Sunrise.
No, that particular situation, they launched at Sunrise Beach.
Okay.
Or excuse me, at the state park.
So my question, what I'm really leading to is that, is there the funds that you may raise by increasing these fees, is there anything that you're doing to implement safety or whatever? Because that's a real, I've been to, I'm familiar with that beach pretty well, and there's a tremendous drop off there. And if you're not careful, it's not good.
Yes, there is. So we're working with an organization to give out free life vests and promoting boater safety and awareness out there. We have employees that, again, with Sunrise Beach, you have that extra security, you have that extra awareness and communication with the boaters. And so we do have a program that we're participating in that with the family that their son passed away. And so we're working with them to hand out life jackets when they're boaters that come and go. So that's a program that we do.
Is there staff that regulates that and makes sure that that's going on when you have families that are in the water that they have a life jacket, or is that, I mean, how are you enforcing that?
You can't say we're enforcing it, but we're promoting it. We have the life jacket stand. We make sure that they know that the boaters' rules and restrictions and what's going on. With that, it's an awareness, it's communication, it's out there, it's seeing other people. That's kind of what we offer. We can't really regulate boater laws because we're not on the water and we don't have the personnel. The city of Corpus Christi is not in charge of enforcement of rules and conditions on boater safety. That goes to Parks and Wildlife, or the Texas Parks and Wildlife, the game wardens and such, but we're out there being visible, somebody that can talk to. And then also, again, like I said, we have a program because we have a boat ramp out there, and we have a boat ramp that is well maintained when there's water, and we're trying to increase that amenity. We would be out there promoting and being upfront to people that come in and enjoy the lake.
Didn't you say that there was like a garage door laying there that they're using as a boat ramp?
That is the Parks and Wildlife. That is the state park that is adjacent, the one that Councilwoman Paxton was asking about.
So some of these funds could go to increase safety?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment on item number 8? Okay, there being no one, we'll close public comment, and I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please submit your vote. The motion carries. Item number 9 is an ordinance amending Corpus Christi Code Section 55-50 to update water rates.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Drew Molly here. So the water rates proposed for this fiscal year were prepared by our rate consultant, Nugent, Andy McCartney. And Nugent was brought on about three years ago, utilizing M1 standards. So that's sort of the practice that is used in our industry, using a cost of service approach. Nugent has worked over the last 3 years to what we believe is bring equity across all customer classes. And so I'm going to turn this over to Andy and let him walk through some of these slides. Andy?
Thanks, Drew. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, members of the City Executive Leadership Team. So for the fiscal year 2026 proposed water rates, wanted to highlight some of the significant changes. So there'll be a monthly minimum charges for the inside city customers are higher because we're including $2 million of that $5.882 million stormwater legacy debt. Last year, instead of water funding any portion of it, the wastewater fund balance carried water side of it. And so we're phasing that in as part of a 3-year phase-in plan to make it more affordable for the customers. Also, that initial rate block for the residential, irrigation, and commercial customer classes are now charged for that first 2,000 gallon block of water. Before, they weren't charged anything explicitly for that. So the results of the water rate study are that our proposed revenue through our proposed rates are meeting the business needs of Corpus Christi Water, including cash operating reserves, and as well as the most important thing, your debt service coverage requirements for fiscal year 2026. So here are the inside city retail water monthly minimum charges. Again, these are differentiated from the outside because the outside does not benefit from any stormwater infrastructure. Therefore, they do not carry the burden of any of that stormwater legacy debt, unlike the inside city customers. And so you can see the increases there for the 5/8 inch and 3/4 inch meters, increasing from $15.83 to $17.25 per month, as well as the corresponding increases. And these monthly minimum charges apply to all the customer classes, residential, commercial, irrigation, as well as the large volume customers. Next are the outside city retail monthly minimum charges for water. Again, you see slightly lower charges overall proposed for fiscal year 2026 than the inside, because they do not carry the burden of that stormwater legacy debts, because there's no benefit to them from the stormwater infrastructure that's typically installed only inside the city limit rates. And so that's why it's smaller. Here are the volumetric rates, and these are the same for inside city or outside city. And so the raw water charge for the retail customer classes is increasing from 95 cents per 1,000 gallons up to $1.18. That's a 23-cent increase. A lot of that's reflected because of all the raw water supply projects going on for 2026. The residential, you'll see that the first 2,000 gallons is now going to be charged 75 cents. Earlier this year, we had discussed maybe proposing $1 for that. $1 was just too much of a burden, as well as the monthly minimum charge increases, so we backed off of that. The next block for residential goes from 2,001 gallons to 6,000. That's going to increase 12 cents. And then for 6,001 gallons to 15,000 gallons, that's going to increase $1.20 from $5.91 to $7.11. And each succeeding rate block increases as well. For commercial and other, again, 75 cents for the first 2,000 gallons, and then anything above and beyond 2,000 gallons is going to be charged $4.06. That's a 12-cent increase from the $3.94. Large volume customers, for the first 10 million gallons, they pay a fixed amount or a take or pay charge. And we're proposing that increases from $35,092.50 to $45,500. And their volumetric rate for usage in excess of 10 million gallons is increasing from $3.94 to $4.34. That's a 40-cent per 1,000 gallon increase. And finally, irrigation, they will pay the same for all gallons used. And we're proposing that is increased from $7.88 to $11.17. Next are the contractual, the wholesale treated volumetric rates for the raw water for San Patricio, South Texas Water, Port A, and Violet, to increase that raw water from $1.14 to $1.33. That's an increase of 19 cents. For the wholesale treated water customers of San Patricio and South Texas Water, again, they take treated water right at O.N. Stevens. You're seeing a decrease from $2.09 to $1.80. That's because of their contracts. We have to do true-ups. And so when we compare what was budgeted last year compared to what was actually spent, there was a huge decrease. And a lot of that was attributable to chemical cost increases not materializing. Chemical costs have been very dynamic and volatile going back, I guess, to 2020 during the pandemic, and then following the supply chain issues following the pandemic. And so that's why you see a decrease there. On the network, which applies to Violet and Port A, so they use part of the network system of storage, pumping, and transmission mains, that's increasing 6 cents. Again, they get the true up as well, but their costs are going up. Next is the non-ratepayer wholesale raw water. This applies to San Patricio. They also take, beyond treated water, they also take a large amount of raw water, as well as Celanese and Flint Hills Resources. And so their costs are going from $1.17 per 1,000 gallons to $1.36, which is a 19-cent per 1,000 gallon increase. Next, I wanted to show the composite raw water, and this applies to Alice, Beeville, and Mathis. The rates are by contract, utilize either the adopted budget or the actual audited cost. And so the Corpus Christi Water, in conjunction with the Finance Department, comes in and performs the update in December once the audited numbers are known, especially Alice and Mathis, because the contracts detail out you will use actual audited numbers to come up with their rates. And so those raw water rates are calculated in December for January billing. So we're not proposing any rate change for the composite raw water customers at this time. But just wanted to show this in case there are any questions why those aren't changing. They will change later. You'll probably have an agenda item come December to vote on that. So some of the sample utility bill charges for the residential customer using an average consumption of 6,000 gallons per month. If they have a 5/8 inch meter, their monthly bill just for the water portion of the utility service will go from $37.29 to $42.07. That's an increase of $4.78. On the commercial customers, for a typical restaurant using 20,000 gallons of water, typically through a 2-inch water meter, their bill will increase from $216.56 to $236.18. That's a $19.62 increase. A large volume customer using 90 million gallons of water a month, typically through a 10-inch meter, would see their bill go from $438,167 to $501,488. That's a $63,321 a month increase. And finally, for wholesale treated water, customer using 50 million gallons of treated water, taking it straight from O.N. Stevens, would see their bill actually decrease from $163,875 to $158,892, just under a $5,000 a month decrease. And that's really because of those the treated water true-ups that we have to do that are spelled out in the contracts. And so with that, I will entertain any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? I don't see any up. Councilman Hernandez?
Yes, sir. We are doing a cross-connect with the Robstown Water District number 3, I believe. Is there any rates for them associated with any of this?
So we're in the process right now, Councilman, of working through that opportunity to have a water supply agreement with Robstown, WCID number 3. So we haven't really gotten into, I mean, we don't have an agreement yet, but we are talking to them. The whole concept would be that if they had a need to connect to our system under various circumstances, if it was something like an emergency, we would have the ability to provide water to them. Depending on the situation at hand, we would charge them for the cost of the water to deliver. And frankly, it's a benefit that goes both ways. So in the event that we had an issue in our system, we could actually have Robstown backfeed our system. So it's a mutual benefit. Now, there is something else that I think you brought up before that we've talked about, and that is, given the fact that we're putting some water into the Nueces River, there is an opportunity under certain circumstances, and again, we're working through these details in a way that we could provide WCID number 3 with water. And again, it's in motion. We don't have these details worked out.
So is this something you're going to have to bring back to council for a rate adjustment?
No. No.
So we're not going to put anything in this rate to identify that or have some sort of caveat?
Camille Terrace, CCW. If any charge is applied, it wouldn't be the raw water. It would be the same standard treatment charge that the South Texas Water pays or San Patricio Municipal Water District, so it would be the 180. If we come to a conclusion that we would have we'll be treating the water and delivering the water to them. If everything is cool and they can continue using the water, then we wouldn't have any payment. They wouldn't make any payment to us. but it will be based on the same rates as any other customer base.
Okay. Want to make sure that it's not specifically called out, that at some point when all those contracts are brought out, that's brought back to council for us to approve.
Yeah, that agreement would be brought back once it's finalized. It's
Okay.
not quite finalized yet. Yes, sir.
All right, and then can you explain why you added the 75 cents to the residential for the first 2,000 gallons? I thought that was included in the initial monthly minimum charge.
Yes, sir.
We weren't charging that last year.
Yeah, there was no charge, basically, and when we started doing the rates back for 2024, that didn't get approved. We could find no indication where the previous consultant had built that into the monthly minimum charge based on our allocation of cost to develop that minimum charge or to even get close to where it was. And so during this period where we're having to conserve water, we thought for transparency purposes, we need to charge something for that water. And that's why back in June, when we met with everyone, we had proposed $1, but that $1 just seemed too much with phasing in the stormwater legacy debt on the water side into that monthly minimum charge. And so we backed off to 75 cents. But it was not explicitly built into that monthly minimum charge, going back and looking at history that we could tell.
Okay, because that was never the understanding. In the past, that first initial charge also included volumes similar to what the industrials, they had a certain charge for the certain first tranche of water that was in the first, that included their meter fee. So
yes. When
did that come about? When did you find that out?
It would have been last year when we were building that stormwater legacy into the wastewater and looking at building it into the water, and the decision was made, a policy decision, to recover it through the wastewater fund balance because we had increases on the water side.
Okay, so you put that stormwater legacy debt in wastewater last year, but you're putting it in water this year.
A portion of it, only $2 million this year.
So there's still some in wastewater?
The fund balance, the remaining balance of the $3.882 million will be absorbed by wastewater fund balance.
So after this year, we shouldn't have any more?
Next year, the plan is to phase in an additional $2 million with that residual amount still being picked up by wastewater fund balance. And then after the 3 years, then each fund will basically be responsible for half of that stormwater legacy debt.
How much is left?
It goes out in the third year. It's just over $5 million, I believe.
Yeah, it's $200 million for the next 25 years, around $11 million to $12 million for the next 5 to 6 years, then it starts dropping down. But it's for the next 25 years, our obligation for the stormwater debt, and cumulative, in total, it's going to be $200 million still remaining.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilman Roy.
Can you do me a favor and go back to that last slide? I'm trying to understand. You talked about reducing the fee, and you said that you based that decision, and I didn't quite understand that. There's a decrease for the large volume, 90, there you go. Go back. That's it, large volume, 90,000 gallon water.
Oh, that's the wholesale treated.
That's wholesale,
Yes,
there
sir.
it is. Okay, wholesale treated. So say again how does that work? How did that come up with a decrease?
Well, they each have contracts because they take water directly from O.N. Stevens, and the contract states that there will be a true-up calculated based on the preceding year. And so when we were trying to develop rates for 26, we had to go back. It's a look back. So you look at what was the budget for 24, and we look at the treatment area of the water utility and compare that to what was actually spent. And so that's the reason why there's over a $4 million differential or delta between what was budgeted for that section and what was actually occurred. And the reason for that was the chemical cost decreased was a major reason, because when the budget was being worked on probably in 23, not just Corpus Christi Water, but lots of water utilities were experiencing heavy increases on chemical prices, just because of the nature of that chemical industry. And so they were built in to be conservative on the expenditure side, and then it didn't materialize. So when we did the true-up or the look back, there's a large decrease. So because of their contracts say we have to do this true-up, that's what we have to do and follow. So it looks kind of weird seeing a decrease for that special contractual customer class, but if you follow the terms and conditions and the calculations, that's how it falls out.
So if I understand that, and just to put it in simple terms, so you basically set a budget, and you base that budget because, and I think at that particular point in time, and I might be wrong on which chemicals, but there was a shortage, and then we had a plant temporarily shut down, right? Yeah. And so the cost had went out of control. So the reality is then the costs have come back in line, and now you've went back and audited, and that's the difference.
Yes, sir. Using those actual audited numbers as per the contract for the treated water, which is San Patricio and South Texas Water.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the clarification. I just didn't understand that.
Councilman Campos.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we haven't addressed the elephant in the room, which is, okay, so we started doing these water rate with your company, NewGen, and trying to get it more equitable.
Yes, ma'am.
But we are still fighting the outside city limit water users. I understand that they still have the appeal outstanding, and so how will that affect us, the inside residential ratepayers, if, if yay, we win, or nay, they win? I mean, how is that going to affect us and our rates here?
Well, I mean, you would have to have a full-blown case at the Public Utility Commission, and worst case scenario, if you lose, and they would, which I believe the city has set aside money for that, for a refund to the outside city limit customers. And so whatever rates get approved, you would have to do a calculation based on what was approved and then what was actually billed, and typically credit them back over a period of time, that differential.
But, I mean, based on because we based our rates on your information, so would we stand, aren't you standing by what you're...
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
So we should have a good case to defend these rates, because that is what is that? Scary? That's what we're paying you for, is so that we can have an equitable rate, water rate. So we want to make sure that, that we can defend this. And I believe I've heard from Camille that, where is Camille? Yeah, that he is ready to defend it. And he says, oh yeah, I just don't want to hear that that we're ready to lose and we're ready to settle and that we have money to pay. That just...
Well, that's not the case, Councilwoman. So that's not the case. And Andy McCartney and his firm actually have to testify at the PUC. Mm-hmm. So he more than anybody, Andy, is our representative at the PUC.
Andy, okay, is the representative?
The gentleman, yeah, he works for the company, that does the rate. So he's justifying why he set the rates that we did. So he's a key witness, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, and the regulatory attorneys, Lloyd Gosselink, they were fully on board and felt it was justifiable what we did, because we started moving toward a customer class-based cost of service, and we're still, we're trying to get the commercial there.
Yeah.
They're still overpaying their cost of service.
Right, and if we lose, Councilwoman, as you pointed out, the inside city limit customer has to pay the difference.
Right.
Just to put it simply, we subsidize a large volume.
Exactly. So, I want us to know that and to hear that it's still all these 20 years we have not increased significantly their water rates, but yet, here we are back again trying to do the right thing, and they always keep saying we're good neighbors. Well, that's not a good neighbor. So again, I'm just standing up for our residential ratepayers, and do we know when that will be resolved?
No, we don't. So there's 2 years worth of contesting at the PUC. And Miles isn't here. I did ask for an update. He's on vacation today, but we're probably it's probably going to be another year before it's resolved. We asked that both cases be heard simultaneously.
Okay.
I'm not sure the disposition of that, if they're doing both simultaneously or not, but we'll get the council an update.
Okay.
It's still very much in the process,
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Well, thank you. That's all I had.
And Councilman Cantu.
I'm a little scared. That was a little creepy.
Felt like Halloween, didn't it?
Yeah. So what I'm really concerned about is the residential rates, the 5/8 and the 3/4. It's not very much increase. However, it's a lot for seniors and people with fixed budgets, I'm just tired of our water rates just keep on going up and up. For example, I have a small little bar on Castores that I'm a partner in, and we have men's and women's bathrooms, 1 ice machine, and 2 stations for the bartenders. And my water bill's $520. It's a lot of money just to operate a small little business, And then I get a phone call the other day, and this lady who's about 80 years old says, my water's been turned off for 2 months because she can't pay her water bill. And she tries to make arrangements with the city of Corpus Christi, but they want money down. So, it's a sad situation out there right now because people are really struggling. And I just like every year, these rates just keep on going up and up. But another thing I want to say is, what blows my mind is how we don't have any contracts with the refineries. They want us today to vote for Inner Harbor projects and it'll cost almost $1.2 billion, but we don't have a contract with them, with none of them. They could easily go and do their own water plan and council with us, and the residents pay the bill. And it really blows my mind that we have not done anything about it. I think that should have been done months ago, before this Inner Harbor project even came to council today. But that's my opinion. I really hope that city staff is working on those contracts with the refineries, because they need to put skin in the game too, they want a lot, but they need to at least give us something, a security document saying, hey, we're in this for a long term, not just for a little bit. So that's all my comments. Thanks.
Councilwoman Campos.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Well, this may not be the appropriate place, I guess, to comment on this, but there was a question raised about non-payment for a commercial customer. I don't know at what point like Councilman Cantu had raised the issue about residential, but how long do we go without non-payment for commercial? I know that is it the same? Do we treat the resident and the commercial and industrial the same way, the same? Is it 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? I don't know.
Sure. So I can honestly say that staff reviews that on a frequent basis. Per Councilman Cantu's comment, we work very hard with all our customers,
right,
especially residential ones, to set up a payment plan to try and get them on a path moving forward. Additionally, there are outside city resources to help with utility funding also. Now, I can also say that when it comes to either residential or commercial customers, staff reaches out to them via email, phone. We've also visited them in person to try and get things on the right track before we have to move to cut off their water service.
So we don't have an actual cutoff, like it's case by case, is that what you're saying?
Well, we reach out to them. Typically what happens, Councilwoman, is a payment is made, and then we have to watch that account very closely because it may fall into arrears again the following month. So we've got to watch it. It takes a lot of effort and time.
Well, the reason that I bring this up is because there was a request for information on a particular customer outside the city limits, and they are owing the city at the time that they received it was $65,000 in a water delinquent account. And so that's why I'm just asking at what point. So it would have to be, again, specific? I mean,
Well, we look at all the accounts specifically. So in regard to that specific request, I'd have to sit down with you and go through it and look through the notes and what we've done as staff.
Okay. I just remember, and I don't think I don't know, before, Peter got here, I know that we had Peter Collins come in and actually work those accounts. We had, the beef company that was delinquent. I don't know, I want to say it was maybe $1 million. It was like a lot. So I just want to make sure that we don't continue to have, as much as I understand about the residential, there's something to be said about the commercial and the outside city water users. Not that, they need to be, I just want us to be equal, just if they are going to cut off a resident after 3 months, and we need to cut off that commercial or industrial user the same.
Right, and there have been some large commercial customers cut off. I can also tell you that, under the work by Reba and her team, our delinquency has reduced.
Okay.
I don't have those numbers with me specifically, but boy, I sure would like to sit down with you and we can go through them at PBO.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Cantu.
Real quick, what Councilwoman Campos said, is there a difference for residential and commercial accounts who gets disconnected? Like commercial, like residential, do you guys call them and say, hey, are you guys, you guys are past due, y'all need to make your payment, or we're going to disconnect you, or how does it work?
A disconnect notice goes out to any commercial or residential customer who's reached the milestone for that. I believe it's at 45 days.
Okay.
And we're very conscientious about making sure we can make contact with a customer. We put a tag on their door before we turn off the water. And we're very, very willing to work with a customer on a payment plan. We have certain levels of authority that we can work on, because we don't want our customers' water turned off. But we also have to maintain the integrity of the system, and we have to protect the revenue as well. So we're trying to balance that on a daily basis, both with the residential and the commercial customer.
So when someone calls and says, hey, I want to make a payment plan, I don't have no money though, what do you guys do? You won't be able to help them, right?
Well, we'll talk to them, and usually there is a certain number that we can work with, but we also have a number of outside groups that we will refer them to, and we keep that list updated, and every customer service rep has that list, and we get a lot of help from our outside
So you guys
partners.
do tell them there's options out there outside?
Bet.
Okay, good.
That's always our objective, is to make them whole and to also protect the revenue and the infrastructure of our billing
Okay.
system.
Because I usually get like 1 or 2 emails a month just about that.
I'd like to also say that there's usually also another side to the story.
Of course,
And we
yes.
make sure that we look at it
Yeah.
objectively and make
Yeah.
sure we right any wrong we've done, and that we listen to the customer.
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially in small businesses, if they're about to be disconnected, at least give them till the end of the day to pay it. I've been there before.
Sure.
And give them an opportunity to go and pay, because once city truck pulls up, I mean, they know they have to pay.
That's why we make more phone calls and reach out to our commercial customers, probably because we know that they're a viable business and that they serve the public. So we have stricter but yet more thorough in talking to our commercial customers. And that delinquency rate is now down about 2%.
Nice.
And our residential rate's about 7.
7.
Yeah, which is
Good.
a lot less than it was 8 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm just going to make a small pitch out too. So there is some funding that we have available that was made available. It's probably two months ago.
Because of you.
Well, and it's over at Mission 911.
Okay.
And so they give us a report every month. They have to meet certain criteria, but we certainly wanted to try to help seniors and veterans. So Mission 911 is, they're making sure folks qualify, and we get a report. In fact, I just got one the other day. And so there is funding available to them. So I would encourage, anybody that's challenged or, having some financial strife to reach out to them. And we'll get.
And I thank you for that. You did a great job hosting that event and raising all that money. So
absolutely.
I think you raised what, 80,000?
87,000.
87,000.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So we'll do
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, you got it.
And on that note, and I know Reba, you sat down, you don't have to get up, but our customer service reps, they refer those people to Mission 911? I mean, are they able to do that? Yes. Okay, she's nodding her head, yes. All right, thank you. Councilwoman Paxson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have another question, but to piggyback on that while it's still fresh in everyone's minds, with that 7% that's still in that delinquent percentage of residential, is there, being conscientious about people's privacy and things like that, is there consideration to linking those as well? That's to that grant. Thank you for making that possible. I'm seeing heads nodding, so okay, I'm going to take that as an affirmative. Maybe we can close that 7% gap a little bit through that. But my question was, in these rate proposals, do these include future anticipated debt service expenses?
For the outlying year. So we do a multi-year financial plan, and so we go out 10 years for that. So that's where future debt service is included in those out years.
So it does.
Not in this rate,
But not
though.
this year.
Yeah, this rate doesn't include, right, the rate that we're proposing today does not include future debt issuances.
Right.
Only what we plan to issue in this next fiscal year.
Only what you plan to pay as far as principal and interest for 26. Does that get built into rates?
Right.
In rate setting, we follow a matching principle where we try to match the revenues to the expenditures that are going to be incurred in that, what we call the test year. And so the test year would be fiscal year 2026.
So I know that our rates, we're bound to keeping our rates not at a for-profit level, but for an operations recovery, basically. So going through in the meetings that we've engaged in were very helpful. I appreciate all that. Our CIP, those types of things, I guess that's kind of my question. Do those project type funding, is that rolled into what we consider as being covered by these rates?
Like Andy stated, up to this year. So your future, like you're approving projects for 26, that ones in 27, 28, 29, all the way to 10 years. Those are in the long-term plan, but we are not front-loading those costs into the current rate. The current rate only covers the capital expenses through the CAP that have occurred. We have contracts, we paid out, we sold the debt. Anything future will come in the future years.
Okay, but it does. It basically includes that category.
Yes.
As applicable per year, but it does include that category. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the questions or comments. I'm going to open public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on item number 9?
Mark Minster, Corpus Christi. Just from the words that they just said, talking about the first 2,000 gallon, 75-cent increase, and they were talking about how it was going to be $1, and they determined that that would be too much of a burden. How is that determined? Like, if $1 is too much of a burden, then does 25 cents really make that much of a difference? And then considering that in context with the larger users outside city limits appealing their rate increase, and then it was also mentioned that for those outside city limits, for the stormwater debt that we currently have of $200+ million, because there's no benefit to them, that they don't have to pay. So that makes me think, if residents don't benefit and don't use the water, why do we have to face the increases? So.
Thank you.
Hi, Robin Cox, District 3. And first of all, I always bring this up. A single mom could maybe help y'all do some stuff because, yes, Cane Beef racked up $2.4 million in water bills in Corpus Christi. We let that go. I'm an apartment owner. If I get 1 month behind, and I do thank the reps, they will call us and tell us, hey, you've got some high water usage. I'm trying to maintain a business, and every time the water rate goes up, and he says you're going to phase it, phasing is a nice word. Thank you for using phasing it, because it still means going up. And when you say 25 cents, that's like when you sell a car and that's a typical sales tactic. Let's, instead of go to 10,000, let's go to 9,999. We're not stupid. It's still raising your rates. We have people barely making it here. And for every time the water rate goes up, I have a vacant house right now. Not one person is flushing the toilet. We have it under remodeling. Water's not being watered. No one's showering. And I still have a $150 water bill. How? And when you look at your bill and you see wastewater and water, you're not supposed to flush your toilet, but it's still the same. Our rates are impossible. We're trying to get new businesses here. If you're running a restaurant and you're passing those on, your bills got to go up. Apartments has to go up. We're making it harder and harder for people to live here. Why don't y'all see if y'all can get some single moms to come and we'll show y'all where to make the cuts, because they're not doing a very good job of cutting the water rates. Maybe we can call the Canes and they want to make some back payments. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Rachel Caballero, D1. I'm here as president of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association. It's over the course of the last 6 years, we've had the same city management dealing with a lot of these issues, and we keep finding ourselves year after year in a deficit and having to feed the beast by taking from the people. And at some point, we're going to have to fix this narrative and hire people that are concerned about people first. This community, we all know, is a low socioeconomic city. We all know this. Several people sitting behind this dais has proven time and time again that they don't care about that aspect. And we need to care, because if the people walk away from this community, then there are no employees for industry. There are no employees for restaurants. There are no employees to close on homes. I mean, we're going to have to start using some common sense here and hire staff that understands and has the same goal to help the community here and truly use our revenue streams through the multi-billion-dollar corporations to the benefit of our community. Let's get there, please. Thank you.
Michael Miller, District 2, here to sing council karaoke. But no, I just wanted to come to the mic for this item and thank Peter and thank the mayor for putting this on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, because it's going to make my job a whole lot easier later on in the agenda. So thank you.
Thank you.
Susie Luna Saldana, Corpus Christi, Texas. I really know that it is very hard to raise the rates and what we're having to pay for them. And there are some issues coming, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that I appreciated your deal with 911. They have really done an outstanding job, and people have been talking to me about it, of being able to get help with their bills. So if anything else, I want you to know that that is working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Jim Klein. I live in District 2. I just want to refer back to one of the slides that the Next Gen folks showed us, looking at residential rates, and that those residents who use large quantities of water, their rates go up significantly. I don't think that that's a cost analysis. I think that that's really designed to be a deterrence to excessive water usage. I just think that that same standard should be applied toward large volume water users as well, that rather than being charged, I think the proposal is what, $4.34 or thereabouts per 1,000 gallons, should be much higher than that, in the same way that large residential users are charged at a larger rate as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on item number 9?
Gil Aguirre. I'm actually District 5. I thought it was District 3, but 5 and 1. So I was at work watching on TV, and I'm listening going, man, you know, it's crazy. And I hear everyone talk, and I already say what I want to say, but scalping, like if you buy a ticket for a concert and then you sell it for more money, scalping. If you have a water, some hurricane hits and we need water and it's stuffed in water for more money, it's called scalping. But here, it's called business. You know, I saw y'all doing something on the lake for a $70,000 boat ramp. I build houses. That's a foundation with no plumbing, no beams. It's just a 6-inch slab. 60 grand? I'll go build it for you guys. Hire me, I'll build it for 30. You know? Everything everyone's saying, they've already said what I want to say. I'm just saying, man, you guys keep raising the price in the lake. No one's going to the lake because we can't get our boats in there. I have 3 properties, actually 4 on the lake. There's no boats for the past 2 years. And now you're putting a little door there to back up on, and that's about 80 grand. Guys, we need to get somebody up there to build stuff so we actually get bids for stuff. Because you guys just say, oh, Fulton, what do you want? Oh, 80 million. Oh, it's 80 million to build it. That's not the way it works in the real world, guys. Like, you guys drive me crazy. Thank you, I love you.
Thank you.
I like you a lot. Both of you guys, cool. You guys over there, the 4, they're just always voting for the people, the port. You should just have a shirt to support. Thank you very much. I came from work to do this. I'm going back to work now.
Thank you. Anyone else? Item number 9. All right, we're going to close public comment, and I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Please submit your vote. The motion fails.
Okay, Mayor, we're going to have to, at this point, cut spending in the water fund. That rate was, the rate generated, what was it, 8 million or 6 million, Nick?
Yes. 20 million.
20 million. Okay, so we have to cut 20 million out of the water operation to have a balanced budget. Nick does have a list of options that we can review with you.
We do. Yes, we do. If we could share the slide. So for no rate increase, we'd have to reduce the operations budget by 20 million. And again, I do want to reiterate the operations budget for water went up approximately 4%, I believe, plus or minus. So the majority of the increases are not associated with operations. However, if we want to reduce, have no rate impact, we'd have to reduce the operations. And here are some of the items we'd have to do to come up with the $20 million. Total positions eliminated would be 86. That's 26% of our entire water positions for the fund. Be the elimination of other items would be the elimination of street cut repairs. So if we had a water main break in the street, CCW, if we had the people would fix a water main break and then we would place cold patch on the street. The permanent repair, which is currently conducted by Public Works, we would eliminate that funding to Public Works. Additionally, we would eliminate resolution specialists at the utility billing office. Those are the same people that talk to the residents and the commercial customers that we just talked about to set up payment plans, to set up, to ensure that their water isn't cut off. Also, we have our planning and engineering department. That team inspects developer plans and inspects capital projects. That's also the team that designed all of the water infrastructure on an eastern well field, which allowed us to essentially have 8 wells completed in a 7-month time frame. So there's no way that could have happened. If that is eliminated, development services would have to hire additional staff, as would our engineering department, just to make sure those plans are reviewed and there's not a detriment to the water system. We have 4 positions in our public relations department or division, and I think we all agree how important that is, communicating with the public, explaining and educating people on drought restrictions, and also educating not just the community, but also at schools and other events. Owen Stevens, we could, obviously stop fluoride. That is not a regulatory requirement. Additionally, we could stop using potassium permanganate. There would be a definite taste and odor change in our water quality. That chemical is key to that. And I think Councilman Roy mentioned that earlier. There was a facility that blew up, and that actually hurt our supply of potassium permanganate. Additionally, we utilize sodium chloride. That prevents nitrification, and it helps us remain out of water boil orders. And of course, one of the biggest cuts we would have to make is to our maintenance of lines staff. That staff alone is responsible for responding to water main breaks. It's responsible to meter. We replace broken meters. We do site restoration. That includes curbs and sidewalks and driveways that are impacted by a water main break. Together, all of those positions, like I said, it's 86 positions. It's 26% of our workforce. It's a tremendous amount of services that would have to be cut and diminished. The other thing I'd like to add is all of these items, they either have a direct or an indirect correlation to regulatory compliance. So in other words, if just think of the chemicals, especially the sodium chloride, cutting it, you wouldn't have an impact to regulatory compliance. First time we have failed samples and we go into a water boil, we're into regulatory compliance. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
That totals 20 million, Nick, all those things?
Correct.
Okay. So that's it. We're going to have to, that would be the result of not having that rate increase. These are recommendations. I asked Nick and Drew to put together what we'd cut. This is their best professional recommendation, which it has an impact, but it'd have the least impact.
That's correct. The least impact, but still significant impacts.
All right.
In services that our customers are used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Councilwoman Vaughn.
How'd I get before you, Kayleen? You're learning how to do these little things, aren't you, where you cut it back? How much is the fluoride? I know we need those other chemicals, but there's such a controversy on that.
So one of the things that we really wanted to do was first off, we don't want to do any of this. I think it's pretty clear. But what we tried to do was we tried to prioritize what would be the least impactful, even though all these would be very impactful. So the chemicals, fluoride, to answer your question, is about $500,000 a year. And then the other two, potassium permanganate, sodium chloride, it's actually sodium chloride. As Nick just said, and it's actually sodium permanganate, very effective chemical that's used at the front part of Owen Stevens to reduce taste and odor type organic material. And then the sodium chloride is highly effective in reducing nitrifying bacteria, which can cause problems in the distribution system, which frankly kind of plagued the system back in the 2016-17 era, where there were lots of boil water notices that had occurred. So we could cut this out and we wouldn't see an immediate response, but there would very likely, over some time, we would start to see that.
Okay, well, I understand you have to have those others in there, the other chemicals. The fluoride, though, is such a big controversy, so I don't know if that would be a huge issue or not. for our citizens? I don't know.
Well, one thing that is important is these aren't regulatorily required. So fluoride is a best practice.
Yeah.
So doctors and dentists, they will come up here periodically, especially if they start hearing that fluoride could potentially be reduced or eliminated from our operations.
Okay, and all of these positions, which you're saying 37 or 34 are filled out of 37, these all new ones?
These are existing.
These are existing?
Yes,
So
these are existing positions that are filled today. There are people sitting in those positions doing the work associated with the...
Well, we all know we don't need to be cutting those positions. So, okay, well, I'll hear from everybody else.
Councilwoman Paxson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you guys for the presentation. Peter, I can't help but it looks like a great deal of thought was given to the potential that this item may not pass. So I personally am a little disappointed that I don't have it in the packet for preview prior to this. I think we all could have, of course, I think anytime you're going to hit a yes or a no, you have to think of the ramifications, and that's in our minds. But this kind of forethought, this equates to 20 million, and here's our, at initial glance, recommendation of how we would close that gap. I don't feel that seeing it at this stage gives us quite the time to be able to deliberate on those ramifications, and I think that perhaps there's other options we may be able to look at. I know our CIP across the departments this year, and I know that those are very important projects, but perhaps that's something we evaluate. Certainly,
I will bring up CIP has no effect on the fiscal year 26. Like I stated, it's spent money that affects 26. Future rates would have the new projects that you're approving. So you can cancel all of CIP for water. It will still have a zero impact on fiscal year 26 rates.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I think what we could do, as opposed to deliberating over a slide we've only just now be presented with, is to take a week, bring a couple options, and I know other people have to talk, so I'm not trying to step ahead. I'm just saying my piece. Take some time, look at what options we have. I know we've got a lot of creative, very intelligent folks on this team, and see what our other alternatives are. I think that it's just the prospect of increasing these rates to folks who we don't believe have the appetite for, that we're hesitant on. And I do think that there's other options that I would personally, and I think probably others would like to look at.
Yeah, Councilwoman, if I can. So the department, as we've worked with Andy through this summer, they've been maintaining a list like this. I asked them this morning to put it into a slide so we could put it on the screen. So there was no sense from the council that the rates would not be approved. We would have shared this with the council in the workshops, but we didn't get any indication that rates wouldn't be approved. So we had this, but I did ask them to put it into a presentation for this morning. And Mayor, if I could, can we have maybe Drew or somebody, but the rate, the cost of running the business this year is more for a couple of reasons, mostly because of our water situation. So one, pumping more water through the Mary Roads pipeline costs more because of we're bringing in 84% more water than we ever have. So electricity costs are up. And then we bought Formosa, the guarantee contract from Formosa, that drives the cost as well.
Right.
And then remind us, if you can, over the last year or even the year before, we really haven't had a significant or any rate increase. And so what we're seeing is a compounding of, if we want to keep doing everything we're doing on the operating side, the rate, eventually you have to have a rate adjustment. But
yeah, and I'll let Camille maybe say a word on that. But okay, so we have an overhead that we can show. So when you look at the sample utility billing history, it has been pretty darn flat. So if you look going back to 2020. In fact, the rate in 2020 for water for a 5/8 inch meter using 6,000 gallons, if you look at that number, $44.58. And, today's proposed rate is $42.07. So I would say, if you look at, and I know we don't always like to do this, but if you do compare ourselves to other utilities across the state, I think our rates have been, I'll just say it, they've been pretty flat. So, those are the numbers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Peter, I think, I really can't believe that this is how we're doing this. That y'all are giving us this list of items. It's the first time we've all seen it, and saying choose and make it happen. I mean, I think that should have been a part of, I understand what you're saying. You may not have heard something. I had this conversation this morning with Heather. I don't know if she's here or not, but, you know, you all need to say, we need to hear from council. If when that presentation is made, then you say, okay, you're going to have a menu of things that really should be emailed to us, a couple of different options or something to prepare us in knowing, okay, this is what this means. That was never done, you know, in our workshop. I think that would have been very helpful for all of us to at least know 20, I mean, you know, not voting for this for very good, valid reasons is going to mean this. But on the spot, I think that's a little bit, I just think there's an obligation to let the council know, you know, what that means and what that menu of options is. Let me get, oh, he walked out. He's got, Councilman Cantu has a comment. Did you turn? I turned it off. I'll turn it back on. Oh.
Yeah, I haven't spoken.
Yeah, you're on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Drew and Peter, you know, the way you kind of outline this is kind of the wrong way to do it, right? You should look at it on some line items. I agree with Councilman Vaughn. You know, I voted against fixing the fluoride thing anyway, because I didn't think it was needed. It was just added cost to this. I don't know if you recall that or not, but this should be done on a line item basis. I mean, you have professional services as line items throughout the water department at $3.9 million. You have clothing at $219 million. You have travel at $85,000. I'm sorry, clothing was $219,000. Temporary services at $391,000, rentals at $712,000. There are things that we can look at from, you know, on a line item basis that you don't have to fire people or recommend firing people. This kind of reminds me of like, well, if we can't approve the general budget, we need to release firemen and police officers. So I get the, you know, the shock value of it, but it's the wrong way to go about it. We should look at it from a line item basis and where we can save money on those individual items. And, you know, and I just did that in 3 minutes of looking at the line item budget. So there are places we can cut that won't affect people's individual jobs or positions. However, I think we can eliminate the PR positions. I don't think we need that. But but there's a way we get there, and there may be a compromise. You know, we were seeing your recommendations are 9% increases, 14% increases. You know, if we can get this down to where it equals kind of the CPI or the, you know, whatever that is net for this year, 3%. And then also, if you recall, I made a recommendation 6 months ago about trying to recover our raw water costs. And I had specific discussions with you, Drew, and I think Camille about doing a mid-year adjustment because we moved from having most of our water come from Lake Corpus Christi and Choke Canyon to Lake Texana and the Lower Colorado River. Well, that water costs more. So we had an increase there that we did not go out and get based on cost of service because we did not want to do a mid-year adjustment. And you remember that. So I want to say that we're in this position because we did it to ourselves. And so I want to say we go back and redo this, and we'll talk about this next week. Thank you.
Councilman Cantu.
I just want to say I am not for letting people go. We got to find another solution. I'm with Councilman Hernandez on this one to go line item by line item. I mean, I'm sure we spend a lot of money on advertising. I've been seeing a lot of ads and Facebook posts and stuff, so we could always find the money somewhere else. But I would like to bring this back to council with other options, please. Thanks.
Councilwoman Vaughn.
Well, I think what we need to do is probably look at the expenditures on page 179 and then come back. But I will just say this. I'm not going to blame you for this because we should not be sitting up here if we don't have enough sense to ask a question. And we all knew that this was going to be raised. I blame myself as well. I do. We should have asked the question. That is not on you, Mr. Sinoni. It's on us. And if we don't have that much sense, we shouldn't be sitting up here. So I think there are some ways that we can cut it. I mean, I didn't think about the purchase that you made for MOSA and Mary Roads pumping more. Of course, there's more cost. I think the problem is next time I think we need to do the workshops earlier. I don't think we had enough time. We've been so focused on desal. That's just taken everything over. So in that, but I'm not going to blame you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilwoman. This was one of the first workshops, but like I said, we didn't hear, we had that workshop, and then we had the wrap-up last Thursday. Nor did I didn't receive any phone calls. I don't think this team did. Because of that, we didn't think it was necessary to call council members to see, what do you think about the rates, because we didn't hear anything. And so that's why we didn't, but we knew based on prior years that council sometimes does not approve rate adjustments. And so we had the foresight to have a list just in case. That's the right thing to do, but I do appreciate your comments.
Councilman Roy.
I understand what some of the council members are saying in terms of making sure that if we had any questions. On the other hand, I really feel, so not only on this issue, but we've got some other things that we're voting on. I just think it's prudent that because until we vote on it, it doesn't happen. And to assume that, maybe one person had a conversation, maybe that conversation wasn't taken serious, maybe, whatever the case is. I don't think this council probably understood the direct impact until we saw that slide, because I really do think there is a compromise. And I do think going forward, whether we ask for it or not, I think that you need to make sure that you have the information there to say, if we don't do this, then this could be the actual ramification. I think going forward, and I think going forward for anything that we do, I think that would help us out. I don't think anybody wants to cut jobs, but I do think we can look at some line items and sharpen the pencil. And we actually said that. We've sat up here before and said that if you don't think that we're going to sit here and continue to look at things to sharpen the pencil and get our budget down, we're from $1.8 billion down to 1.6. We have to be able to look at those things and understand what the repercussions are if we don't go with it. So please just do that in the future. It would have been great information to have in making this decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Campos.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I do agree that we probably could learn something from this, which is to look closer at the line items, but I also basically look at the recommendations of fiscal impact, and when I see the fiscal impact for not passing it, the financial impact says approximately 13 million. So I don't know where the 20 million came from, but still, for not passing it. You usually give us like
the fiscal
the
impact is the fiscal impact is the increase in revenues from one year to the other. That's all it is. It's a function of thing. What you have to cut down when you're looking at the rates, we also have debt service coverage and other expenses that you cannot make adjustments to. I cannot bring down my obligations or I will default on debt. So you have to recover those through operating costs additionally. So yes, revenue might increase only by this much from year to year, but if you're not going to do the rate increase, then I cannot cut that debt service cost. I have to add those costs back into operating and cut that much more out.
Okay. Well, and I do, like I said, I do agree with some of my fellow council members, like I just said, that maybe we can learn a thing or two, but, again, we have been very, very, very focused on desal, as, I know the staff has, we have, so, hopefully this is a lesson learned. Thank you.
Councilwoman Paxson.
Thank you, Mayor. If I recall back to my original meetings about the rates, and I think I had another council member, because we were doing, maybe two people at a time, that kind of thing. I feel like at the time we had brought up concern. We were asking a lot of questions about the impact on particularly residential and like the local commercial, the smaller volume, but commercial. So if that didn't translate over clear, you know, for our part, I apologize for that, but I think that was the direction we were kind of asking about, was trying to indicate concern for that category. And maybe there's some other way to follow up on it, because I know this is very complex. This is a lot of work that y'all have to put into this. I fully recognize that. And I think it's prudent and it's wise to say, you know, this is what that looks like. I know we've kept a running tally, but it does make it kind of difficult for us, you know, to go, you know, read all the pages and then say, oh, it's a brand new slide worth $20 million. Let's look at that real quick. So that's, I did want to just make that clarification that, you know, I don't want anyone to think that we went through all these meetings and just we're like, oh, we're fine with that, because that wasn't the intention. So I apologize if that wasn't super clear back then. But I just think going through all those pages, there's been several items transferring in and out of the department. There's been, you know, kind of the page that Councilwoman Vaughn referenced. There's some things on there, and I know it's going to be tight and it's not going to be easy. 20 million is a big number, but I just think that it's the good route to look at that. And I don't know, what does that need to do from this position? Is this something we make a motion, kind of like Cantu was saying, to bring it back? How do we have to do that?
You could do that. Yeah, we're hearing you, so we'll develop some alternative reductions. We don't recommend exclusively line item reductions, because it's just tough to run the business. The list that Councilman Hernandez, I didn't write it down, but when you tell employees just start bringing your own clothes, we used to do uniforms, but we can't do that anymore. It impacts the entire organization. So what we recommend is program cuts, where just you stop doing a program. You don't across the board impact every division in the water operations department. Things like rentals, if we say we're going to cut the rentals budget, that means we have 4 or 5 different divisions: maintenance of lines, we have Owen Stevens Water, we have the Mary Rose Pipeline, the dam. So all those operations now don't get to rent equipment. And it's just, then everything begins to cascade to, you know, to failure. So what we recommend is just wholesale not doing certain programs anymore, like advertising. You could say, hey, we're not going to spend any more advertising dollars. That'd be a good one. The prior councils told us to do that. They wanted more advertising. So what we'll do is bring back a menu of options for the council. For next Tuesday, we'll send it to you ahead of time. We'll work on it tomorrow and Thursday, and then send it to the council.
I know with the new Open Meetings Act, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt.
That's all right.
That makes the deadline for posting kind of tight. Is this something we can shoot for the following meeting? I think that's the 23rd. It's got to be on the timeline.
It has to be part of the adopted budget.
Forgive me, I don't remember the days.
That's a good question. Let me get an answer from Buck, and we'll tell you.
Okay, I appreciate
the ordinance would still talk about a rate adjustment, and the material that we provide council doesn't have to be. It's not part of the agenda packet per se. It could be emailed to the council.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thanks, Peter.
Okay, Councilman Cantu.
I'd like to make a motion to table this.
It's the first reading, so there's going to be a second reading next week. So my understanding is for the second reading, it would be brought back?
Right, yeah, we would provide council with additional reduction proposals, and that would be brought back next Tuesday.
Okay, so there's not a need for a tabling, sir?
Yeah, just deny it. You've already denied it, so it's been motioned down. It's failed, so we'll bring it back next week with alternative reductions in the operation.
Okay, great. Councilman Roy.
Peter, in your analysis and looking at your homework, I guess, or what are you going to call it, for next week, one of the things I want to make sure is that, can you give us options in terms of, one of the things that was said earlier is that in terms of the rate, that you figured out that $1 was too much, so you opted for 75 cents, right? Because you felt like $1 was too much of a strain on the ratepayer. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And during those one-on-one meetings, we did receive the message, and so that's why we cut back on that $1 that we were proposing. And then we were also phasing in that stormwater legacy debt.
So all I'm asking is that, can you make sure that when we look at our options, who knows? Maybe one of those, like I said, we know that somehow we've got to be able to have a compromise to get this thing done, but maybe look at 50 cents, look at 60 cents, whatever the case is. Just don't shut that down and try to make up what you're trying to make up is 20 million. I think that's a tall task. But give us some options there too. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, well, do you mind if I can ask the council, is the council interested in any rate increase? Because if not, then we'll come up with the 20 million and we'll come up with more than 20. We'll come up with options on reductions, but if there's no appetite for any rate increase, we kind of need to know that so we can tell Andy to get to work on if there's some level. Do you want some level of rate increase?
Peter, I think you need to do a little hybrid.
What's that?
I think you may be doing a hybrid.
Okay.
Because again, I don't think anybody up here is going to say yes, no. I think we're going to say, what are the options? And if you include something that is a hybrid, that is lower, alongside some other things, we can consider them in a better light.
That's good, Andy. I just want to get some direction. So
because I'm real afraid, even if you held your expenditures the same, you're still going to have to increase your revenues to meet debt service coverage.
Right.
It's just
one
of the necessary evils of having debt.
Absolutely. Councilwoman Vaughn.
And therein lies part of the problem is debt service. And we've got to remember that. No matter what we do, we still have to pay that. My suggestion is this. So many of them up here don't know the ramifications of all of those cuts that you just showed us. If we cut for that to 20 million, we need to know those ramifications, exactly what they are. So maybe some would like to meet with some staff, maybe 2 or 3 together, before that meeting this week and look and see where we can or can't cut. Because I think because of the debt service, there's going to have to be some type of rate increase. Don't shoot arrows up here. But there are things we cannot stop. Fluoride, I'm not huge on that, but some people may be. But just give us some options and the ramifications of not doing certain things.
Right, we can do that, and we'll meet with you later this week.
Thank you.
Councilman Hernandez.
Okay, just to give you the reference, I mentioned it earlier about giving us, maybe if there's something more moderate in terms of if you're going to do an increase, but give us options on that. But to that point on debt service, I mean, that's our largest expense in water. And I've been harping on that, I think, since I've been on council about how much debt we're voting on that we'll have to pay later, right? And now we're here. I see transfer to debt in the utility debt fund, $35 million. Transfer to debt, $12 million. Bond principal for the Lake Texana pipeline, $6 million. Bond interest on Mary Road's debt, $8 million. It is quite a significant amount of how much we have to pay. There's another one here for other debt principal for the Bureau of Reclamations for $3 million. We are, this is choices that were made by previous councils that we're having to deal with now. And because we just kind of, you bring something to us in terms of a project, but you don't say what the ramification is in the future in terms of what that's going to do to rates. I think that's what we, some councils have been lacking is the information of how much of that is. Our debt service as a percentage of our revenues is 33%, right? I mean, it's a third of our budget, and then it's we continue to put debt in the water system. It is going to increase rates.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
6 years ago, Councilman, when we started, it was the system was on the brink of collapse. And we're correcting decades of neglect. And there is a cost, and we've said it.
I understand, but there's moderation that we could have pursued.
And that's what we've done.
Right. Okay. So you've obviously
way out. Yeah.
You've obviously reduced it by $200 million this year over last year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because you can only squeeze so much out of a rock. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? Thank you.
And I've looked at the percentage of equity in the system by looking at the 2024 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report and comparing that to the 2014. And your equity percentage in the system 10 years ago, 2014, was like 30-something%. So you had, for what your debt, you didn't have that much equity in the system. And for 2024, it was 49.6%. So yes, you haven't increased your debt, but you have been reinvesting in the system. And so you have assets that provide service now. So, you know, it's not just a debt-only issue. You have to look at the asset side of it too. You know, when looking at, you know, you have to look at the total balance sheet. And so that percentage of equity, and I teach a course along with our president to be, and so we kind of have a calculation and show people as part of rate setting that, yes, some debt is appropriate. I mean, it's not what you hear Dave Ramsey talk about, where, you know, no debt is preferred, but some debt in a highly capital-intensive industry like water, wastewater, or electric is necessary. That way, the benefits of those assets get paid for by future generations. So it's a generational equity issue that debt serves to serve.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So that'll be delayed, and at this time, it's 1:55. We're going to take a 30-minute lunch break, and then we will be right back.
Turn the mics.
Yeah.